The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. Stephanie Lichtenstein is the president of Micromedia Marketing, a boutique social media agency specializing in management or consulting for e-commerce. Stephanie's passion for social media is contagious and has led her work with the SMBs to Fortune 500 companies, including HarperCollins, Hubble, and Collins International. From bootstrap beginnings as a solopreneur, working out of borrowed office space in Gary Vaynerchuk's VaynerMedia HQ in New York City to 14 years later, a team of women and stay-at-home moms around the U.S. with offices in Miami and Chicago. Stephanie's greatest values are growing brands through social media while empowering and uplifting her women-led team. I want to welcome to the Susan Brender Show, Stephanie Lichtenstein.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Stephanie, can you share some tips for social media success?
So I've been in social media for a very long time, and it's a very exciting space to be in because there's always something new happening on social, and certain things always remain the same when you want success in social media. So it's really important that you have an actual plan and you're consistent with your social media schedule. And there's also always some new and exciting tools. So right now, there's a lot of fun video going out, and there's really, really great editing apps that make it very easy to create content and to create videos that I'm sure you've seen that are a bit shorter form. They're very entertaining, and they're a fun way for people to discover your brand. And one that I love to use is called CapCut. And another one that I think is great that helps you plan ahead a bit is actually using something like Later, which lets you schedule across multiple platforms. It gives you the best times to schedule. So it gives you like little tips and tricks. It shows you what's performing the best. So I would definitely say at the end of the day, don't be afraid to try new things, but also make sure that you stick to a consistent schedule. You don't have to do a ton of content, but you want to make sure you have quality content going out to your feeds.
You know, young people can do all of that, but older people have trouble. What do you say to that?
I say you don't have to be everywhere, and you don't have to have a ton of content going out. So you have to think about where your audience really is. So let's say you're talking to other businesses, then you really want to focus your energy, say, on LinkedIn. Or if you're trying to target a different type of demographic, we always look at each platform and think about what audience is there and trying to join that community and have conversations and put content out there. But it doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't have to be producing, you don't have to do video, and you don't have to be producing content every single day. You can decide that you're going to post 2 things a week or 1 thing a week, and you can go in and write copy. And you also want to spend the time with your audience. So once you put the copy out there, you want to make sure you're really having those conversations. And when you do put something out there, if someone comments on it, respond to them, and then connect and engage with other people and have more conversations. So it can be like a regular day networking, like you would actually be talking to people face to face. You can do the same thing online. And the way I think not to get overwhelmed is just to do it at your own pace on the best platforms. So, and by picking something like a LinkedIn, you can decide, every Monday I'm going to log on, I'm going to check my connections, and I'm going to have some conversations. And you can dedicate a little bit of time, but then it doesn't become overwhelming.
What content performs the best on social media? You said LinkedIn is one of them. Is there another?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, it's very about business to business type of content. So actually putting out some articles, like you can go in and write in the form of like a blog post. You can write copy that's a little bit longer, and then people will see you as a thought leader, and you might get, some comments and engagements on there. You can even do that just on a personal profile. One of the platforms where I spend the most time for clients, especially because they're usually e-commerce and they're selling brands online, is on Instagram. So the content that's been performing really well on Instagram lately has been these types of video reels where you have the option of either doing a fun compilation with different images, or you can do something where you're doing a little walkthrough and you're explaining something to people. But Instagram's another platform, depending on what kind of business. So if you're promoting a product, that is a great place to be, and it's very visual. So that's a place where you want to have photography or video. And then LinkedIn is a place where you would be writing more copy. So whatever you feel the most comfortable in, you can kind of select and focus on that.
This might be a repeat, but what are the best social media management tools that you would recommend?
Yeah, so I did mention Later earlier because I do think it's really easy and great to use. But there's even free built-in tools. So LinkedIn and Meta, which will promote both Facebook and Instagram, they have a free native social scheduling tool that you can utilize. So when you're putting something out there, instead of just doing a one-off, you can go in and schedule multiple things, and then you can kind of set it and forget it. Not only is that helpful, but they also will give you reporting. So you can either do it natively in the platform, but if you want to do it for more than one social media space, I think Later is fantastic. The cost is not very high, and it's really, really user friendly and easy to use. They give you reporting, and they even tell you like certain keywords and hashtags that perform well. So I really love that. I've also used Sprout Social and Hootsuite, and Sprout Social is really fantastic. It's better for a larger company that might have multiple people that need to access the account, and it's a little more like on the enterprise level. But I think for regular day to day, if you are starting from scratch and you don't really want to put a budget behind it, you can start with the native scheduling tools within Later and Meta. And then if you have a social media manager, then I would highly recommend trying Later out.
What are some of the trends you see in the social media space?
So one of the things that has been changing and growing is something that's now called like social commerce. So it's really interesting to see how people are discovering products nowadays. A lot of times, they're actually seeing it through accounts that they like and they follow for recommendations. So like if someone's really interested in fashion, they might actually be discovering your brand through what's called like an influencer. So there's different levels of influencers. But the ones that I think get the most traction are actually micro influencers. And they really talk about a topic that they're passionate about. So they might be really interested in healthy nutrition and healthy eating, or they might be really interested in how to decorate your home. And these types of people that are creating content are spending time really digging into that type of passion, and they're really talking about a certain topic, and then they get an audience that starts following them and is interested in what they're learning or what they're doing in design, or how they're preparing healthy meals, and they're starting to discover products and brands through this. So like the influencer marketing space has really grown a lot over the years, and that's something that I think brands are really interested in. And also, basically, they are actually working with influencers now in having them make recommendations, test things out, give feedback. And the more passionate and authentic the influencer is, the better obviously it does. But it's not even about how big of a following they have. It's more about how genuine and authentic they are, and connecting with those types of people to partner and create content.
You said something about passion. Is it your passion?
I absolutely fell in love with social media. I'm very lucky that I got into it early on. So I started working with social in 2007. So back then, Facebook existed. I believe Twitter came about, and LinkedIn probably did a little bit. And the reason I really liked it was because it was a way to communicate with other people and to connect with people, but they could also be people that you've never met. It's just people that are interested in the same kind of topics. So I really love the fact that I could be anywhere in the world and I could have very interesting conversations and make really interesting connections with people that were interested in the similar topics than I was, without ever having met them. And social media was a tool to do that. So I really found that fascinating. And when I went on my own and started Micromedia, I decided I wanted to focus strictly on social media, and I wanted to help brands to use that as a tool to communicate with their audience. And I love the aspect of getting their audience involved. So I had a client in New York that was developing bedding products, and they were designing, and as they were coming up with designs, they would actually share that with their audience and get the audience's feedback on what they liked more before even like producing some of the products. So I thought it was really such a powerful tool to tap into what your audience is interested in and open up those conversations with them.
Do people tell you who use social media what they really like and what it does for them?
Yeah, so over the years, it's really changed like what people find useful in social media. So for example, on the last client that I was talking about, to them, it really mattered to them what their audience thought about product A versus product B. And like they implemented that into the design side of things. I think other people, just regular day-to-day consumers, will use social media for different things. So some people will use it strictly for entertainment, and just to find videos that entertain them. But there's other people, and it's interesting, a younger generation, like my goddaughter, she utilizes social media to learn things. So if she wants to learn how to apply makeup or do a certain look, like she will go on social media and search for things and will try to learn how to do things. And on Pinterest, like when I was planning my wedding, I utilized it personally more so to find inspiration and to find different looks and things that I wanted to do in my wedding. So it's definitely utilized differently by different people. My husband always is learning different things, and he's always watching videos that will explain to him the details of, you know, how to use a certain program. So I think it can be utilized for different things, depending on what your goals are. But it's very interesting to see how people consume social media and the reasons behind it.
Should we look out for anything exciting coming up with you?
So I am so excited that I'm going back to Chicago. So I was lucky enough to live there for 5 years. When they say Midwestern niceness, there's definitely so many friendly, amazing people in Chicago. And I am going to be going to speak at an IIDA leadership event. And I will also be attending NeoCon and Internet Retailer, which are taking place in the middle of June in Chicago. So I'm so excited to be there. I can't wait to connect with previous and new friends and colleagues. So I'm very excited to be going there.
What are you going to tell them? Because you said this is an educational program, so there must be something that you want to tell them that is very interesting.
Yeah, so I am speaking about like I'm going to give 10 tips on social media success. So it's going to be a social media mastery class, and it's going to go all the way from start, which is going to be talking about branding, and then scheduling. We're going to go through all different types of content. How does it look on different platforms? And then we're going to actually go in a deeper dive in advertising and reporting. So once you spend all the time to build these connections on social media, what are you really tracking, and how is it really helping you personally or as a business to grow? So we're going to really dig deep into that and give some tactical tips that they can utilize to have success with social media.
Give us some more tips, because you gave a lot of tips, but there are much more, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about going through the steps, one of the first things that's really important, besides deciding what platforms your audience is really on, is to make sure that your branding is on point. So let's say you're on a page like a LinkedIn or like an Instagram, depending on who your audience is. So let's say LinkedIn is more B2B and Instagram is more B2C. They both have really great opportunities to make a first impression with someone. And on social media, a lot of people see things very quickly. So you have a short amount of time to have them get a good idea of who you are. So you really want to optimize your profile. So take a look at what you're utilizing as your profile picture, as your cover photo, and then your biography is really important. That's going to be something short, but it's going to need to capture who you are and what you're trying to promote to someone. So you have a few seconds to do that. So generally, I like to answer the question of like, how are you helping them? How are you solving a problem for them? So you want to have that in your biography section, but then under that, you have a lot of opportunities to highlight content. So on LinkedIn, they have a place where you can do featured content. So I have a client that's given like a TED talk, and that was one of the biggest things as a speaker that she's done. So when you visit her profile for the first time, you see that pinned to the top of her page. Instagram has a similar feature and different things that you can make sure that people see when they first visit your profile. So on Instagram, I like to even think of it as like a micro website, because you can have your image, you can have your biography, but then under that, there's a lot of opportunities for people to see your content. And you can actually pin 3 things to the top of your page. So let's say, like right now, I'm launching a brand new brand and I get to start everything from scratch. So one of the things that we're doing is, this is a brand that's in furniture. One of the things that's important to them is for people to know the quality of their products, what they're releasing, but also how to assemble. So at the top of their profile, we're going to pin 3 different items. And the first item is just sharing a little bit about that brand, because it's a new brand and we want people to know how much they really care about quality and timeless pieces that are going to last a long time. So that's like the first thing that someone will see. Next to that, we have a section where we're featuring what's new and what's being released the latest. And that's something that's going to be updated, let's say like once a month when new products get launched. Right next to that, we're going to put how to assemble instructions, which is something that's just educational, but it's something that people are actually looking for when they're purchasing this product. They want to know, how is it put together? Is it easy? And like they have a really great explanation on how to do that. That's also on their website. But now when you go visit their Instagram, you're seeing the best of everything and like the most important things to them. So that's what you're seeing. And that's a feature that you can find on pretty much any social platform, which is, it's called pin to the top or pin to profile. And you kind of want to think about what's being displayed there, and you want to make sure that that's being refreshed, whether it's monthly or weekly, depending on what you have going on. And that will leave the best first impression when someone's visiting your page.
So there must be a question that we haven't asked you. Is there anything that you want to say
Sure. So one of the things that's inspired me a lot this year is a book that I got to have a sneak peek of because my husband, Rick Ramos, is the author. He is a CMO and he's heavily into marketing. So while I'm on the social media side, he is on the marketing and branding side of things. So he is releasing a book on July 10th. It's on pre-order on Amazon. It is called Transform Your Marketing by Rick Ramos. And you can also find more information at transformyourmarketing.com. I think the book is absolutely amazing because it gives so many actual tactics. So he goes through 33 different types of marketing tactics that you can apply to your business, whether you're in B2B or B2C. And as a CMO, he also, offers support on the marketing side and on the branding side. But if you're just starting out or you're looking for ways to really grow the side of your marketing for your business, I think this is a great book to check out. So I did definitely want to share that. And thank you for letting me share that with your audience because I implemented it myself for my own company that just turned 14 years old. But I also have implemented a lot of the marketing and branding tactics for my clients and my brands that I work with.
So where can people get in touch with you if they want to learn a little bit about yourself and your husband?
Absolutely. Thank you. Our website is micromediamarketing.com. And we can also be found as Micromedia Marketing on Instagram and on LinkedIn. But personally, I also am on Instagram and on social media as Micro Steph. So I would be happy to answer any follow-up social media questions that you guys may have. And you can definitely also, there's a contact button on micromediamarketing.com. If you want me to analyze your social media or give you any thoughts or feedback, I would be more than happy to do that as well.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on, Stephanie, because you offer people so much information and education about social trends and social media. And this is what people are learning about and care about so much. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. And I can't wait to share the podcast with everyone.